The cube knows where it is. Cube knows where it should be. The process continues. Oh, it left off with the machine using green science at a reasonable rate. Just kind of trudging its way through this leg of the tech tree. On getting started up here, saw that fuel refinery is nearby. I think this is a thing to work towards. Since the condensed fuel, the cube condensate, that would give us a fuel supply for the burner that does not deplete the cube. And also just kind of taking it as a given that the math should work out that the more elaborate process is giving us more value per unit of cube time than the current setup of just directly placing the cube in the boiler. So there will be a stretch of working towards getting fuel processing as part of generally moving forward. Alright, we had concrete production going. Some glass, some flasks. Make a good sturdy Besselheim. It's a lot more kinds of structure pending creation. There we go. That will allow glass stockpiling to occur. Sand continues to crush. Some of that basic matter. Just enough to get a greenhouse together. I also need to start thinking about other pieces of equipment. Greenhouse is a start. Wood production is about to become necessary. Cube does spend a lot of time loitering over there, waiting for the rare metal to build up. Need more crushing capacity. Which is going to depend on having more stuff to do with the byproducts of the crushing. Yeah, because right now we're backed up on calcium. Calcium does have places to go eventually. Science machine's just gonna kind of do its own thing though. So you have lots of room to start theory crafting. Stack arm is also over here, and those are made of advanced engine, which requires oils. Alright, so basics of greenhouse. Put in water, receive wood. Nice and straightforward. Now we'll just kind of go about the business of stockpiling. So other things. Take up chemical plant. At least one. Or to get a look at what it's even for. Right, and I've got my whole basic construction mall down here of core infrastructure parts. Good to have them. That might all be pending rebuild as well. Okay, so it's the basic chemical plant footprint. Right now I can only use it to dispose of sand. Or no, alright. So tar processing is here. Let's tar into lighter oil. Can then in turn be split into unstable gas, so it's similar. Kind of vaguely similar shape to normal oil processing. Some differences. So I need at least 2 of these to have access to each of the things. New chemical plant layouts are sure to be interesting. a ray of hope for one stray matter ingot that was left out of the process. Now it goes in the machine with the rest. Always room for more paving. Okay, the initial procedure happens in a dense furnace. Alright. In a non-cube process in the ultra-dense furnace. Such things can be imagined. How are you even initiating the process in the absence of a cube? Just crushing the wood? Yeah, alright, so I can get some of this furnace material down here instead. Yeah, I'm carrying tubes. Grab some basic motors pre-made out of the motor machine. Yeah, the current general setup of the factory here is that this is the cube line, where all cube interactions occur. Mostly synthesizers, one furnace, and the boiler at Cube Central. cube spin over here for a little bit, build up a matter stockpile. So begin, think about oils, about lumber, the furnace. That's all the stuff we haven't been doing before. Gel, though. Wood and sand and steam create the gelatinous gunk. Okay, no. Yeah, this is still a cube process. The fuel is there. Right, because it is a furnace, because it is taking fuel. Rather than... rather than directly using the cube as an ingredient. So... steam can arrive from the one side, oil can exit from any other side. It's wood. Wood needs sand. Easily acquires steam by just joining the industrial steam line. Wood machine is going nicely. And it's 400 wood to 100 sand. One side of this belt will be much more engaged than the other. Alright, that's a lot of sand. So it takes a while to unload the sand machine. Really proper-like. And a lot of this sand should just leave. Just tunnel over here and become part of the process. There we go. Just get the pipes out of the way here. Alright, there we go. Wires for oil control. This produced 16,000 at a time. And the steam eject arm. And need another recovery unit. And probably need another chemical plant. Future applications of the oil. There we are. Right, and I had the power loop set up with the unloading arms for the cube burglar. Once steam levels are satisfactory, we'll then pass that back out to the rest of the line. Good stuff. Alright, cube is still generating power. I guess it does take a while to refill the entire steam reservoir. I am holding some water pumps. Yeah, alright, something I will do here. need to go grab more tube to do it. So I'll just have this grab steam from the front and forcibly circulate it toward the back. Now, we have our first batch of gelatinous tar. Delicious. Yeah, the metal furnace is cycling. Good things happening all around. No, that's not how this should work. It should be reading steam levels at the front. Which it can do directly. So steam at the top is very high. Yeah, up around 23,000. Then turn on the circulator to try and pull this steam toward the back. There are better control valves I could try to orchestrate. It has the wood supply looking quite adequate. It's just water in, wood out, the building cycles at whatever speed. Not even that big of a power draw, 500 kilowatts for a greenhouse. One minute per wood cycle. Not gonna fully hook this one up yet. Can get it partially running though in order to supplement things. Get more of that metal moving. Oh, it's balanced. So, looking ahead to fuel production here. That is done in the fuel refinery, which is its own building. It wants sulfur and unstable gas. Chemicals are going to involve a lot of extra steps. Elaborations on the machine. Release additional sand into the system. Layer stacks will be a good problem solver. Alright, so even within this space, I have plenty of room for fluid handling. This can take only speed modules. Alright, so productivity only lives in machines entirely disconnected from cube work. So, step 1, split shell. Find tar and essential oil. And 360 to 80 on that side versus 24 to 16 on this side. %, imbalance versus a much larger than that imbalance. Right off the top, there's some dissonance to be handled. Can likely do a lot of that by way of constructing some manner of fluid bus. The multi-pipeline. Yeah, then if I like copy that. Yeah, just tessellate that up for as many rows of different substances I want to handle. Something like that. Though I definitely appreciate creating more space and remixing the whole available landmass again. There will be ways to explore this. Bring in more gravel. Put more of that initial pile of rocks to work. So I want raw oil to arrive here for the moment. Start routing that pipeline. begin to refine the crude wood into the ascended wood. Sulfur handling also happens in chemical plants. Couple more of those. There, dangerously compact. But generating any material. And when it's time to migrate anything, I can isolate each of these tanks and pump things around accordingly. $50 liquid per barrel. Okay, I can delay the armor production stuff. Instead, grab batteries, motors. Stack arm is an important thing to go for. Yeah, that will allow for higher density material handling. And still waiting on research to unlock more chemical recipes. Stack arm is just good for all occasions. Going to need a bottled consciousness set up for next tier research production. which will then act as my calcium sink. Which also means I need to collect the dreams of the cube. Okay, the most convenient time to do that would then be when I synthesize replication gel. That will guarantee that I have a bit of gel to use for the dream collection. With that in mind, you now consider a setup where I pass the cube through to handle more than one layer of stuff. So it may also need more sophisticated control to be sure that the cube does not get jammed. So, my canvas space budget of, gotta scale the brush appropriately. Yeah, this width of column. Maybe one step more? Yeah, one step more. 2 tiles on either side. Of a synthesizer, well, of a high density furnace. Same footprint. Working within this. From the top. Cube belt. Oh, hold on, I can also do like remote viewing through the map. For the next round of rebuilds, I could also consider the importance of using large power line for efficient data transmission. How far do these reach directly? Well, okay, between each other they reach very far, and then... yeah, connections are determined by the weaker of the 2 lines. If I had a local tower there, I could have a tall tower all the way over there. Illustration of available technology. You know what? Yeah, I'll situate this tower all the way out on the corner of the site. Synthesizer is going in the second layer. Just to gauge the size of it. There'll be a furnace here. That is my replication gel furnace. I should just make another ultra density furnace. It will find a home at some later point. There it is. Okay, calcium is backed up fully again. That would do it. So, replication gel furnace. Takes water in, takes steam in, puts water and steam out. And releases a cube. I can then go into the Mind Wiggler. This can also cycle the sleeping cube. Which is the only substance that it puts out. Right, it's cube in, standard cube out, cube ejection port. I'm going to put a gel buffer here. For replication in low light conditions. Is that kind of compactness useful? Yeah, I think so. Need to work out how I would connect the steam plumbing here. Oh, okay, I think one part of it is that I can drop the conveyor belt out, like so. That gives me room to have the pipes tunnel under. I install this as a modification to the current gel system. That is going to displace a little bit of machinery. It this way, or cover a little bit of space by having a water line up there, and then haven't left myself room for a steam line down here. I would have to shove everything down another step. Not a bad look, though. So yeah, cube, water, steam. Matter ingots need to be delivered, then loaded. That's what adds a little bit of cruft. Barely not enough reach for a tunnel to go all the way under that right now. Narrow enough down here, though. So, matter ingots arrive from here, further along the line. Yeah, that's a column. And a lot of it is similar to what is already set up down here. So... drain the storage tanks. In a way that keeps things flowing. Yeah, mostly the tube situation on this side is going to change. Temporarily redirect the cube. Send it back to the boiler. So is that where I want gelatinous tar to stay? With its need for sand and wood. Maybe this is the time for a full rebuild from the ground up. One of the times for a full rebuild. Gel and matter naturally fit next to each other. Oil might want to live further down the list. All the replication gel things naturally fit together. Okay, I've successfully drained the replication gel supply here. So let's see. Changes I want to implement based on that footprint. First of all, pull up the legs of the steam line. Water line is staying there, that's fine. This power pole is probably going to move. See how well this fits in. Almost there. We also need to slosh replication gel supply over here. There, all green. We'll pick up all of this now. and deliver it to the new site. The new old site. And now to make effective use of the existing gel line, just let that slosh back over here. If I wanted, I could install a pump there to enforce directionality. And now I need control wire for these. That reads off of the supply. Liquid ideas. How much does a cycle of this produce? 8,000 at a time. Yeah, so if there's less than 8,000 in the tank, this one is active. There is at least 10,000 ideas. Eject the cube. And that's only a small portion of the cost. Power of one set of replication gel. So, matter back in, and I didn't disconnect any of that. What it needs is a new data line in order to know how much gel is in the tank. Alright, now we have brain liquid. Okay, but that tunnel doesn't have an exit yet. Need to bring that up to reactivator. There we go. And similarly hook this arm up. Or, no, I don't need control wire on the cube exhaust arm there. an option to directly extract the cube. Or just this furnace needs to be able to, it has its own exhaust arm for the cube recycler. Okay, good. This does not want to throw anything into here while the output is overstocked. Okay, that self-regulates. Additional device. Alright, so now I have the thinking liquid. That plus intelligent calcium, where intelligent calcium is comprehension cards and calcium in what? Can I just do that in a fabricator? Yes. 2 seconds a pop. Bring the calcium over there. By bringing it out this way, just to kind of keep the surface of the ore field clear. And then I need to dissolve those into some Besselheims, which means I need Besselheim production to be brought over here. And this is a chemical plant task. Okay, there's a stray pipe end somewhere. You have been orphaned. There we go. There we go. Brain liquid over. Alright, no, I'm not carrying a stack of flasks currently. That is another noodle to thread into this system. Cube status. In the replication furnace. Which can currently see steam. Oh, I got interrupted before hooking up the gel quantity. There we go. Water exhaust needs to be drained. Boilers need to run. Better plumbing is on the list of things to re-engineer. Some future iteration of the device. So I've delivered glassware, now I'm creating bottled consciousness. So let's just stick that in a box. In time, I will want large-scale production of that for Research 3. Yeah, 4 of them per card, so that'll be a pretty decent draw on resources. gets the supply of rare earth moving again. Oh, I cut the supply line for the rare earth metal. Hold on, need to reestablish that. This belt. There we go. Alright, and the cube has made a set of oil. It's going to make a set of basic matter. Just lob it down here. Get the furnace going, keep research moving. Oh yeah, that also double dips on calcium consumption, because some calcium goes into making the replication cards. Oil supply's building up nicely. Getting backed up on rocks, though. Something I want to do here. Make it so that I only supplement the gravel supply. If anything, just cut that off for the moment. Yeah, what we can do on just using excess from the crushing. Could be doing more paving. That is another very healthy sink for mineral resources. So if I were to set up some kind of new, fancier steam handling system, pretext, better power generation. There are higher density fuel storage tanks at some point. Okay, I think one step of this is that, yeah, the boiler has its own water storage. That will be like just sectioned off and have a pump on its input. It's like pump. Boiler is sitting here. Wind-powered input pump. Just grab a ghost of the boiler to slam down here. But always give it a bit of personal space as well, though. That would allow more room for fancy control machinery. Boiler can be potentially very far away. This would also let me displace the boiler away from the lake, bringing it closer to the rest of the cube equipment. Like so. Oh, I did have a spare one in my pocket. Alright. So, boiler. Releases the steam. Water supply, unrelated to the boiler, lives on the other side of this valve and does not need to be considered for the purposes of this rig. Getting closer to the fuel refinery, and with it the actual desire to start creating the alternate fuel. Fuel that is more steps removed from its source in the cube. Research queue can start thinking about vehicles. So, boiler. And once we switch to indirect use of the cube, that also means there's no exhaust to pull out of the boiler once it's using fuel canisters instead. That will simplify how things happen at the boiler itself. That in mind. Okay, so what is the fuel density of one of these? Ultra dense fuel canister, 100 megajoules each. 1/10 of a cube cycle, and they're made in 50 packs. Boiler fires, steam is released. Hook the two sides together, have them exist on a common steam line. However, instead of doing it like that, do it like this. So there's an immediate steam buffer here at the boiler. Go grab some circuit cards. Skim them from here. Make additional pumps. for improved steam handling on the power side of things, and also in general. Also a little bit in anticipation of fuel source change. Fuel which will become partially wood-based. My bulk storage for steam power. I want to adjust it slightly so that it's in blocks that are in series rather than just kind of all in parallel. That'll reduce the friction imposed by fluid mechanics. Move the draft over here. Yeah, and then if I just stack up the storage tanks, but do not let them touch. Maybe allow one more tile of space, so that at the point where the corner happens, there can be another pump that acts as a bridge. Right, it's entirely possible to cold start the factory by just nudging the cube. Let's actually cut steam supply entirely. Allow the cube go about its business. actively draw the steam down out of storage. I don't have landfill yet. Or do I? No landfill. Yeah, because as part of building this, I might also pack up the engines and move them a little bit further down the line. Send the cube a few other places. So, going to tear up some of this as well. I can always generate more steam as needed. Give myself a look at the size of this as a footprint. Alright, so that would put the boiler all the way over here, at least. More if I situate the new tank up hereabouts. Would always demolish that forest. Well, that'll happen either way. It's a question of when and for what. just keep the cube circulating through the machinery so that work gets done while the deciding is underway. Grab more brick. And directly handle some earth metal. Get fuel machine. Alright, this seems like the start of something. That over here. Bring that over there. Start to migrate in pieces. Yeah, and so backflow control for the industrial water will be different. Okay, that should provide for that. Oh, you're trying to return to Steam on a path that no longer exists, or never did exist. I didn't have a return hookup on that. You were also never connected to the line for Steam data. Nothing is connected to the Steam data line anymore. That tank no longer exists. Cube doesn't need to travel back this far right now. So when you dismantle a liquid container, its contents try to immediately jump to an adjacent spot. Once more, there is an orphaned tube somewhere. Some pipe that enters the ground but does not return. It's gonna be down here. Yeah, back on the sketch. There I can let this steam out into the engines through that as a bypass. Or I can also do a pass-through directly engine to engine. That lets me cut this pipe. As the research goes on. Oh, boiler there. Other storage tank here. And this whole column is going to move downstream. Alright, that puts power generation out of the way. I don't have the fuel refining yet, so temporarily I'm going to have to put the cube wiggler back out. Okay, so now a different storage setup. The cube is currently here. Into the furnace with you. Work to be done. Alright, steam flow restored. Sort of. Okay, I need to provide emergency power to the cube wiggler. There we go. There we go. Boiler runs, steam propagates. Takes a while for the very high viscosity steam. Takes a while to actually get to the other end of the procedure. And the water for this is just arriving unconditionally. Right, right. Okay, main power seems to be back. Yeah. Team reserves are healthy. And if I just provide a red data line back to here. Might want more pumps going across that whole setup. Bottling a lot of thinking fluids.
Beep.
May need to loosen up how the tanks are connected the other way. Okay, for now, this is maintaining pressure on the left column. That's most of what I want out of this. Can retrieve some of these wind turbines, give them new homes. That should provide basic cube handling automation here again. Fuel making, though. Which is another calcium sink as well. No, that's vehicle fuel, not building fuel. Condensed fuel. Which takes the cube. Sulfur. And gas. Sulfur, which is made from water and refined tar and releases steam. Water main and a steam main line would want to be part of the setup then. It's kind of already the case. That just further extends into chemical plant. So working in abstract here. One chemical plant to make sulfur. One fuel refinery. Make fuel. What kind of effective power output then can this thing attain? I should be mass producing pipe to ground. There we go. Greatly increase the tube supply. So, essential oil in. Or no, refined tar in, essential oil back out. Possible need of a flare stack back out. Pass out the over. For now, this just needs water in and a steam exhaust out. And then the return line for steam. for the splitters that are providing material catalysts, they should prioritize feeding along the synthesis chain. Alright, though now. Possibilities brimming and bubbling here. I just bring the cube, even briefly, down to this fuel machine. And this line does not directly loop back into the cube handler. The fuel line that takes fuel. Next generation fuel system. I'll let this run until the oil input seize up, which seems to be happening right now for want of find tar, although that is for want of input crude oil. Hold on, let me deliver the cube back to the oil machine. So now, cube cycler. Should try to bring the cube all the way back to the oil machine. Alright, that's another smart belt placement feature that was created at some point. You can auto-recognize when you're trying to belt underneath a small obstacle. That's a lot of fuel. Off of even brief exposure to the cube. That'll keep the lights on for quite a while and also leave the cube free to cycle through other things. Good to see it. Fill that hole in the pavement. need for rock has caught up with things. But what is this stuck on? Calcium. Not consuming enough calcium. Need more calcium sinks. And I was just relying on a storage box of calcium for knowledge card synthesis this whole time. Weave that through. Okay, I need a buffer on the other side of the steam supply so that this steam is not always pressurized. One more storage tank. Something like here. And just a direct control wire. When steam is less than 20,000, top it off from the boiler. This way there is room for the recycled steam. Get pulled into the system and distributed. Need to scale up production of a bunch of intermediate materials. Get those things going stronger. Yes, and the steady fuel supply means the steam buffer is comfortably filled. The red ejection arm, probably safely remove it from my various cube setups. Now let's just bring this back over to the chemical plant to brew up more fuel. There's no non-liquid input here. Well, wait, right, the initial wood boil involves sand. There are rocks here. Calcium consumption is back up, by the look of it. Or no, that's the sand belts. That's the metal belt. There's the calcium belt. One of the calcium belts. Calcium belt is moving again, though, so that's also good. Stack inserter will help. Once I start making motors with oil. And I'm going to let all of the tier 2 research fall into place before going to the next layer. And now, yes, now this is properly seized up on an excess of essential oil. Got a lot of fuel out of it, though. Fuel supply is looking good. Could move those somewhere in terms of where the input for them goes. Now that I have those as an intermediate step, the cube is no longer confined to the location of the power plant. Well, for as much as that is confinement, since the power plant could always have, in turn, relocated. Pipelines could have been used to carry all of the steam. Away from the core, off to wherever it needs to be. Wood machine, healthy and strong, producing an excess of wood. Wood is abundant. It has long been known. That's right, bottled. All of the consciousness that we have extracted at the moment. Meanwhile, so batteries exist, red circuits require gases, wire and glass. Grease is made of essential oil and refined tar, and it's made of a lot of essential oil. Fluid balancing the chemical plant, even vaguely, is going to be a task. Setting things up to flare off whatever the current bottleneck is going to be a key element. Drifting toward the thought of making the cube loop compact again. Back toward that paradigm of, alright, so especially with the fuel line now separated. Where in particular for the middle options especially, could have a setup like this, where both sides of the track have an opportunity to send the cube down the same output. Which would then mean that each column of space on the belt is an outlet to a machine. Or also, you could have it so that you have column acting as an outlet, and then you have room for the return to just kind of wiggle in there. Or just to otherwise be like, alright, cube out, and then cube in. 2 tiles per device. Or cube out, cube does whatever it's going to do, and then somehow burrows underneath. It will take some threading to try and get the most densely packed cube handling setup. There, let's see. Current state of the bus. 7 machines that take the cube, and in an emergency, an 8th machine that might take the cube in desperation. I could get the cube line down to this. And then have room for a whole second set cube requesting points on the other side. In which case, why not just enlarge it up to 16 ports? That kind of future-proofs it a little bit. And then the individual modules, I would allow those to be further away in order to create the space that they need. The goal being that the smaller this loop is, the faster the cube can change its mind about where it is. More cube-related decisions can happen in this tight space. And I can have a nice tight setup for power lines. They can all be listening for their own different data wire. Sort of centralized cube processing unit. Yep, just store that on a page. And instead of trying to perform live surgery on this as it's going, plenty of open space that I could use to just start building the next iteration of the machine fresh and migrate components over to it as needed. There's more water sources, there's more open ground. Now that fuel can be packaged into canisters, I could even have boilers operating in different locations. Probably won't, because the steam pipe is pretty good at distributing things. Tube is a fine networking protocol. Everything will be made easier when the stack arms enter the scene. So I must in turn create the right kind of goop. Provide the stack arms. Okay, we have generated any grease at all. That might do a lot to help rebalance the oil system. This sinks a lot of essential oil. Basic motors, earth metal, circuits and grease. But most of the necessary parts for that right here. Oh, and these are just made from scratch. They aren't upgraded from the fast arms. And then they are in turn upgraded by adding a combinator to make filter stack. There we go. Stack arms. The future of arms. Okay, long arm still has a role to play. Or its long. Until we invent the long thinking arm. The long arm with the big hand. Which may be waiting at a future tier of technology. It sure is the start of things, though. Need to restock on circuits, which are waiting on matter, which is waiting on, yeah, just the matter feed operating. Waiting for the new technology. Look at him go. think I should be able to, in that case, just kind of deprecate purple arm and blue arm for the most part. There are small applications where they would still make sense. We're looking to conserve power. Yeah, that's all hooked up nicely though. So next generation handling gear on the way. Get some miscellaneous trash out of my pockets. There is some kind of film of surviving Earth metal, but that might just be the stuff that's under this guy. Yeah, that seems right. That's just quirks of what order the drills decide to tap into the tiles under their footprint for. Alright, the grease stacked up quickly. Oil levels are kind of balancing out a bit. I could bottle more fuel at any time. Yeah, thinking again of it, I think the implicit priorities that are built into the order that things are on the cube selector. The fuel machine should be close to the root. Now that we have this, the new main organ. Processes all sorts of materials. Yeah, once this catches up with its backlog. That'll mean more arms. The arms are in turn... Those are dealing with the current bottleneck at the matter machine. Needing to unload the matter machine faster. And if I were looking to beef up this whole setup, taking each of the modules out of the close quarters of the cube line and giving them room to use their full surface area would help with that. Science machine, healthy and strong, though. Yeah, there we go. These know how to saturate a belt. And someday Railway may even have a role in material delivery. It would make it easier to modularize. Setting up various bits around train stations as a place to do material switching. As a shared line on the floor. Yeah, this uses hundreds of units of material at a time, so it might need more than one inserter to do the thing. I really want to build it up as able to move quickly. And in the time it has taken to consider that, dozens of arms are now ready to operate. Imagine. Right, and then you need cube handling hardware. Cube is the only solid product that can exit this. That's your cube interface. If it arrives, it arrives. And then data line over to the output. Of if oil is stocked up. Yeah, since I'm using 2 storage tanks there, 16,000 oil across. 16,000 oil in one means that 2 cycles have fired. Or I could wire them both up together. Just use the local total. Oh, but right, this is a cube depleter. So I need a cube revitalizer. And that doesn't require any control circuitry, that just does what it do. And then the fuel tanks exist. Yeah, this is the start of something. Just sketch out each cube operating module on open ground. Then see about putting them places. Things to do. Over further iterations of the machine. Actually throw that in to top off the gel. This arm needs to be aware of how much brain fluid in the system. Which is currently nothing. So if thinking fluid greater than 20,000, then you may shake the cube directly. Then and only then. There we go. Restock on substrate. The power grid has stayed pretty capable of keeping up with everything being asked of it. Yes. It's mostly fine. Moving in the right direction. Ready to be torn apart and built again. Ready to face another side of the cube.